Oh, hello. Assalamu alaikum. Uh, Thanks for attending. Today I wanted to talk about the subject as mentioned of, you know, how life of human beings started on earth and how life will be of human being after life. And that's the subject. And I'm going to try to be as short as I can. Anyway, since the race of human being existed on earth, the first person to be on earth was, Adam and Eve. And we all know that Adam and Eve was, was living in heaven basically. And we all know that, that they were both living as a couple in heaven. And then, because of the sin they committed, they were kicked out basically of heavens and sent to earth. But the problem and the question, did Adam and Eve was living alone in heavens? And basically the answer is no. That is the subject as well today. So because the race of Adam and Eve are what we call them, what we call it, an extraterrestrial force or alien basically what you call it. From this race, they were from this race. And that Adam and Eve belonged to, belong to the individuals who committed sins basically that got them kicked out of heavens because of whatever was the sin. And I'm not going to go through talk about the sin they committed, because they were forgiven basically by God and got back to heaven. But I'm going to talk about that race that still live in heaven, because that race is a race that is, that race is basically a race that live longer than human beings. They live 10 times longer than human beings. And we have data, we have data that, from holy books that Adam and Eve lived nearly 1,000 years, which make them, basically not from human being. Basically, they're from an extraterrestrial force, or what we call it alien. And my theory in the race of human being was an extraterrestrial force, and with that's my theory of what we come from. And that's basically, like I said, we come from an extraterrestrial force, and with the environment and weather on Earth, the race adapted to this environment basically, and turned from extraterrestrial force, or from alien, what we call it, to human being. Like basically, there is a guy who has a theory. It's called Jean-Baptiste Lamarck, and that's basically the theory I believe in. And as we know, from intelligence agency or from around the world, we have data that these creatures, this extraterrestrial force or aliens or whatever you want to call it, or the sinners basically, what they call us as sinners. This force call us a sinner. Human beings are sinners basically. And Adam and Eve belong the rays of this extraterrestrial force that have the ability to live like, like I said, 10 times more than human beings. And they were living in the heavens. But because of the sin that, they committed, they were brought to earth basically by them own transport. So basically, in conclusion, the video is getting too long. I don't like my video to be I like it to be very short. So in conclusion, heaven existed and still exists and will exist forever. And human beings come from an extraterrestrial force and will go throughout changes to become an extraterrestrial force creation to be able to live in the heavens forever, and will have the opportunity to experience, UFO rides and stuff, and to see the different heavens. And that is why this, this creation, or what they call it, the alien or the white or the grey race, are a race from heaven. And that's it basically. Anyway, the stream is getting too long. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time in another subject. And you have a nice day. Assalamu alaikum.